Hey everyone, welcome to What Are the Odds? I am Robert Ferringo. He is Raphael Esparza, and we are Doc Sports. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to join us here. We're going to be breaking down some college football action in a minute. I'm not going to go through the whole spiel, though. It's Friday. It's 2 o'clock. You don't want to hear it. All I'm going to say is $60 free down in the description. If you don't know, take that $60, go to Doc Sports, use it, get a bunch of free stuff. Top games this week in college football are posted. There are maybe 7 of them there. They're $30 a piece. So that link down there gets you 2 free top plays. I have a free 5-unit play going next Thursday. Raphael, you have a 5-unit play this week or no?
In football?
In college football, yep.
No, only have 3.
All right, but he still has picks. You can get them for free. There you go. You're welcome. 3 for 1 at Doc Sports. Early bird special, $7.49. You know the deal. All right, so Raphael, I'm tired. I'm a little edgy right now. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a week. I'm geared up for tomorrow. So let's get to it first. Ahmet, new member, give you a shout out. Thank you for joining. We're gonna go right to Chris. Chris Dalpy, I need money guy. Need a super 3-leg parlay. Chris, love you, man. I love you so much that I am not gonna give you a 3-leg parlay. And frankly, any site that you go to or any YouTube live that you go to or any one that you go to that offers to give you a 3-leg parlay is a scam, and you should not listen to them, and you should not do anything that they say. Those are sucker bets. I know it's not what you want to hear. You want that super fun 3-leg parlay that you can just drop $20 on or something like that. But that's not what we do here. Like, we're professionals. We're in this to actually make money. So that's what we want to do. So, Raphael, do you have a play, baseball, CFL, UFC? Do you have something that we can give to Chris that instead of wasting his money on this super 3-leg parlay, that he can just bet straight up on one game and win?
Let's say maybe the Cowboys' first half total. I mean, let's say they're giving up 30 plus points in both of their games. You figure Atlanta's going to want to score some points. Everyone scores in Dallas except Dallas lately when you're playing at Jerry's World, so I'm trying to pull it up right now. My computer is very...
And they're going to want to keep throwing, right? Like, Millen has not looked good in his 2 games, but they're trotting him out there again, which means they're going to have some of their better offensive linemen and better players. They're going to, they need Milton to end on a positive, so I feel like they're going to scheme up some stuff for him, which should mean scoring some points. So,
and it's 18.5, and the total is 18.5 first half. Now, I know we're going to talk some college football on it, but since you just mentioned preseason, if you're going to play preseason games, I mentioned it last night on the great show that we do on Thursdays after we release our football plays. You're going to bet preseason week 3, and you like totals, bet first half totals, because you don't know who's playing in the second half. Most of the starters will be playing the first half, taking off the second half. So you can get better value on totals over or under in the first half than you will if you just bet the game. So keep an eye out for that.
And, not for nothing, when they get into the end of the third, fourth quarter of that third preseason game, it's over. Everybody's done. The coaches just want to get out of there. They're basically going to stop playing at a certain point, and that's it. So I didn't see. I'm trying to pull up the Giants game last night and see, because it was 42-10, but when were most of the points scored in that game? To your point.
But that's kind of different because they had so many quarterbacks that are either trying to make the team or auditioning to get traded to go to another team, just like the Cleveland Browns, who I'm hearing they're making phone calls right now to trade Kenny Pickett. So that means Gabriel and Sanders are going to be looking for the backup position. So I would say look for the Cleveland Browns to do something in their game, because you have 2 rookie quarterbacks who wants to be that second guy.
I mean, look, that first half total still got over in that game. And Here's a perfect example. In the Steelers-Panthers game, 20 points scored in the first half between these 2 teams. Another first half over. Only 9 points scored in the second half. Again, you could tell when they get to this point, preseason's done. They just want to get out of here and get these games over. So what's up, Sanu Abe? What's good? We're good, man. We are good. We are good because we got college football action. So Raphael, let's Time for a bounce back in MLB, Raphael. I'm excited about the 6-unit pick. I am as well. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Esparza here has been on quite the little heater there. 22-13 for plus 6,700 over his last 35 plays. In baseball, you're pretty much a one play a day kind of guy, right?
Yeah,
So,
I mean, I dropped a horrible. I had the Atlanta Braves run line against the White Sox. What's the final score? 1-0. Oh, geez. Talk about, so you probably heard this. Talk about a kick in the nuts on that one. You would probably agree. 1-0 against the White Sox. Really?
Yeah, Strike Point Sports had a 7-unit play in that game the other day as well and lost that. And I got to tell you, that's at least 6 games. That's at least 6 games that I can think of this year that Strike Point Sports had a 5, 6, or 7-unit play on a run line, and their team won and didn't cover the number. Just brutal stuff. So, all right, talking about covering numbers, college football. Raphael touched on it. Every Thursday, for all of you that are in here, if you haven't watched Doc's Football Release Show, 6 o'clock Eastern on Thursdays, 6 to 7. Our football plays go live at 6 Eastern. And then we are right in here. Like and subscribe this show right here, and you will be alerted when new stuff is posted on the Doc's YouTube channel. But 6 to 7, we talk a lot of football. And, next week we're going to have a lot of games. So we've been talking a lot of like game theory, betting theory, a lot of like abstractions, kind of pulling apart a lot of things in Doc's Football Release Show. Next week, we're going to have a lot of games. We're going to be like putting our hands in the mud and diving in on some of the games. So come on in, comment, ask questions, ask about games that you want us to break down. It will be a hoot. So, Raphael, what game do you want to talk about first in college football this weekend?
Talk about the first one, the Dublin game, which I'll be watching English Premier League soccer, and then I'll put the TV on and watch a little bit of the college football game. But if you're going to play a game in Dublin, why is it Notre Dame should be there every year if you're going to play a game in Dublin? I did hear that more K-State fans are there more than Iowa State fans. So is that going to do anything, or maybe on the crowd noise or something like that? I almost released K-State on this one. I just think they're going to be able to control the tempo of the game because they're going to be able to run the ball against Iowa State, which I think their defense takes a small backwards than it did last year up where it was. I think the running backs are going to be very key, and that might open up the game in the second half. So I was leaning towards K-State. I'm excited to watch this game. Not at the location, though. I think it would have been a better choice of 2 teams to go to Dublin.
What do you think of Avery Johnson? Like the quarterback for Kansas State. He was one of the highest recruits in K-State history. Everybody was predicting the breakout last year. Kind of didn't happen. Had some trouble taking care of the ball. Is this a matter of he just needed some experience and he's going to make that? Do you think he's going to make that leap this year, or maybe he's overrated? Like, what are your thoughts on him?
All about the O-line. If he can get some help, I think he was pressured a lot. He just made some bad decisions. I think that's why he threw a lot of interceptions. If they can run the ball and put some pressure off the quarterback, then I think he gets comfortable, and I think he has an okay. I like the tight ends as well. I think that he has a little bit more experience for both the tight ends. So he is I hate to say overrated when I think he's going to be a little bit more successful, but the hype that he came in, I can see why you use the word overrated.
Yeah, I mean, look, I didn't want to touch this game, frankly. I like both these teams. I love both these coaches. They're both great underdog coaches. They both have good quarterbacks. I agree with you. This is one to just kind of sit back and watch and, try and play off of these teams. I mentioned yesterday on the Doc's Football Release Show, really weird that both of these teams are playing in Ireland this week. Neither one of them took a bye next week. They're both playing teams again next week. So it's going to be really interesting to see, win or lose, how they respond to playing overseas and the hype around this game. So, this will be one to watch for me. What do you think about the number? Is it where you thought you like Kansas State? So do you think that this number should have been higher? Do you think it should have been like 4, 4.5, something like that?
No, because there's so many question marks at the first game. I a little bit shocked that it came out at 3.5. I thought it would have just came out at 3, and then the money would dictate it if you're going to move it a half a point or drop it down at 2.5. So not 100% positive on what this one is. Now the total, I'm a little bit shocked that the total boosted up 2 points. It opened up at 49. I made my total around 51, and I thought mine was high. So I thought it was going to be the opposite. They would open it up in 50 and then move it downwards. So it went completely opposite than what I thought it was. I can see an under game being played.
Have you looked at any props in this game? Has anything like come across your radar? I have not. I am probably not going to play any props in this game. I don't know. I'll take a look at the numbers tonight, but was that anything that was on your radar? Is there anybody in this game that you're looking to bet?
I was looking at Iowa State team total under. It was 23.5. I was hoping to get 24.5, but when they posted 23.5, it wasn't the number I was looking for. So I'm a big team total player, especially in college football. So if I like a team that I think has been scoring a lot, and maybe they're at home and coming against a team that maybe has a banged up secondary, I'll kind of look at totals going over on that one. So I was looking at that one. I really like the team total of Hawaii. We'll talk about that one.
I'm going to make a prediction in this game, kind of, and you could bet this accordingly. I do not think that this is going to be a close game. I don't know who's going to win. Like I said, I don't have I have something I like in this game a little bit, but I think that it is going to be a 10-point game one way or another. Okay, I have a side that I prefer that I'm not going to mention, but I don't think that this is going to be like it's a 3-point line. I don't think it's going to be a 3-point game. Like I can see this one being like 31-14 one way or another. I don't know necessarily. I know who I like, who I want to win this game, but I can't say definitively who I think is going to. But I just think that everyone's like, oh, these teams are so close. Is that sure? But that's not usually the way it goes. So you might want to look at some alternate spreads like Iowa State -7, -6.5, something like that. Kansas State. Maybe if you like Kansas State, maybe bet them -7, -7.5, something like that. I don't think that this game comes down to the last 5 minutes. That's my gut feeling on this.
I'm totally opposite. I think we're going to see a kind of a nail biter win shock if a field goal wins this game. So I'm totally. That's why I like doing a show with you because we always disagreed, and so I kind of like you saying that because I think it's going to be totally opposite. Wouldn't shock me if the last 3 minutes or the last team that has the ball kicks a field goal, and that's going to be the final score.
See, it's funny, and this is going to be a good transition. That's how I feel about the Stanford-Hawaii game. I don't see a scenario where this is a blowout either way. I think that this game is going to be within 7 or 8 points deep into the fourth quarter, no matter who you like. And I do not see a blowout here. I think that there is much more likely to be a blowout in the Kansas State-Iowa State game than there is to be a blowout in the Stanford-Hawaii game. Thoughts?
So you're trying to tell me that's so? Well, let's transition this game. You're trying to tell me that's the Stanford team that had 3 wins. Ooh, Frank Reich's there. Ooh, are going to be much improved team?
Yeah. No. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is I don't know how much I trust Hawaii as a favorite. Like, I mentioned this last night. 2 years ago, they played Vanderbilt. Almost identical situation. Home opener, at home on the islands, Hawaii laying 2 points. Now, Vanderbilt stunk that year. They only won 3 or 4 games, something like that. I think they only won 3 games. This was 3 years ago. Sorry, 3 years ago. Okay. They got boat raced. They lost 63-10 because they were just not physically capable of stopping Vanderbilt from running over them. Okay. Stanford they lost a ton. They lost their coach. They fired their coach in the spring. A bunch of players left. They had like 4 starters walk out the door after spring practice. I get all that. They still have 13 starters back from a team that they beat Louisville last year. They played close went on the road and beat Syracuse. Okay. These are teams that are better than Hawaii that they did beat. I'm not saying Stanford's good. I'm not saying that they're a good team at all, but neither is Hawaii. Like I don't expect Hawaii to just like dress up and get on the field and blow them out of the water. I think Hawaii's going to win. I think that this is Hawaii's Super Bowl. I think they have a lot of focus on this game and are probably more motivated for this game. But that does not mean that I think Hawaii is going to come out and win by 17 points and just like blow Stanford off the field. Frank Reich is a good coach, and he's got some players. Stanford is going to come to play in this game. Will it be enough? I don't know.
I mean, I think Stanford's going to be a little bit improved, but you mentioned what they've lost. What is that locker room? I know Frank Reich could coach, but that locker room is still probably looking around saying, well, where's this guy? Their best defensive guy transferred out. So they led their team in tackles. So I think Stanford's on the direction of being positive, but I'm still not going to give them this year. And I think this Hawaii offense that averaged almost 23 points a game last year is probably going to average 26 to 27. Timmy Chung wants to throw the ball all the way around this year. So I think their offense is going to be much improved. Now, their defense still has a lot of question marks, but you mentioned this is their Super Bowl. They're playing a Stanford team that everyone knows in college football with the historic of Andrew Luck and all that. So, yes, this is probably their Super Bowl, but I lean towards Hawaii probably winning anywhere between 4 and 7.
Okay, so Hawaii last year, like to build on your point, they got the redshirt freshman Micah Alvarado. I know I butchered that, but whatever. He was a redshirt freshman, but he was able to throw 70 passes last year. They got him into some game action. I think that's huge that this isn't like his first college action ever. Their offense needs to be better because it wasn't very good last year. They were able to make strides on defense. Like they allowed, I think, only like 24 points a game last year. Regardless, it was the first time in like 5 years that their defense had allowed fewer than 30 points a game in a season. They brought back 9 starters on that side of the ball. They got to hold up against Stanford running game, period. End of sentence. That is this game. More than anything that Hawaii is going to do or not do offensively, if Hawaii cannot physically stand up to this Stanford offensive line and running game, they're not going to win. That's it. Like Stanford will just run the ball down their throat, milk the clock, and that'll be it. But if they can, then yeah, I do like Hawaii to win. The problem is, again, Hawaii they're good. I like them this year. I like them to get to a bowl game. I'm rooting for Timmy Chang. I think they have a favorable schedule. No problem. But like, they don't beat good teams. They haven't beaten like Power 4 teams very often under Chang. So I think the expectation, like I said, I like Hawaii. I would lay the 2.5 points. If I had to pick a side in this game, I would lay 2.5 points. But this is not going to be a blowout. I will be surprised if this is a blowout. I just don't think Hawaii can just roll out of bed and beat even a really bad like Purdue level Stanford team. I just don't think Hawaii is good enough to go out and like beat them by 3 touchdowns.
No, I mean, that's why I said that whoever wins this game between 4 and 7. I mean, I don't see a double-digit win or something. I don't see a last field goal. I just think 4 to 7. I think whoever wins this game.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like I was saying before, I would be less surprised if Kansas State won by 17 than I would be if Hawaii won by 7.
Now, see, I think if we're going to see points, and I'm waiting for sports books to put this out there because it's only 5 games. If not, I'm going to put it out and see if they bite my numbers. Pick the team, pick the 5. Who's going to have the most points scored out of these 5 games on Saturday? Because I think it's going to be Sam Houston State and the Hilltoppers. I think the Hilltoppers could put up 40-point plus against Sam Houston State. So it's funny how I think that's going to be a big blowout. I know UNLV's 27-point favorites against the Bengals of Idaho State, but I'm excited to see what the Western Kentucky can do.
Okay, sorry, I was grabbing my phone. I was looking at this because it came straight from Nolan Patrick from Strike Point Sports. This is a really good stat that I wanted to get your opinion on. Week 0 or week 1, college football totals in the 60s. The under is on a 27-12 run over the last 39s. What are your thoughts about that? Because don't we have a couple totals?
Yeah, Western Kentucky, which I think we're going to see a lot of points scored in this one.
Okay.
UNLV, I can see UNLV Idaho State being way under the 65.5 because UNLV pretty much said all summer long they want to run the ball. They put too much pressure on the 2 quarterbacks last year that had to pass. They want to run the ball this year. So I was a little bit shocked that they made this total 60 or 64.5 and got bet up to 65.5. And there's a couple of 66s out there.
Okay, so if you are thinking about the over in those games, again, I would think about that straight from Strike Point Sports, 27-12. The under is 27-12 in week 0 and week 1 totals 60 or above. Let's go back to that Western Kentucky Sam Houston State game because while I don't know about the total, like I don't know if it gets to 61. Like I don't disagree with you that Western Kentucky can hang 40 on Sam Houston. I don't think Sam Houston's going to score over 17. This is another game that I think has like blowout potential all over it. I am selling Sam Houston State. Casey Taylor, their head coach, he went to Temple, took some players with him, whole new team. Like they were they won 9 games last year, I believe, Sam Houston State, have been a very good underdog the last 2 years, but this isn't the same team. This is one of those teams that, like, I don't expect square bettors, common bettors to be following Sam Houston State football very closely during the summer. So if you're just popping in week 1, you're like, oh, Sam Houston, they made me some money last year as an underdog. I like them. No, new coach, new players, new schemes, new everything. It's not the same group. Western Kentucky has a lot of moving parts, but Western Kentucky always has a lot of new moving parts. They're one of those teams that are used to guys transferring out and moving up. But I could see that game being 41-10. I just don't think that Sam Houston can score enough to get that total over the 61.
Yeah, I don't say I bet the total is not one of my plays, but if I had to choose any of the games that's on the board that has the most points, I'm picking that game.
Okay, we're not going to be on until next Friday, and you might not be prepped for this. I know I'm not prepped for this, but let's get into a little bit. Next Thursday's game, next Thursday college football games. Is there anything that jumped out at you that you liked? Anything unique about those numbers that you see?
Let's see. Over the summer, they hung the Bobcats versus Rutgers, Ohio. If you don't know what the Bobcats are, 10.5. I'm like, ooh, I like that game. I'll take 10.5. I think I made my number like 13. It's a 3-point difference. I'll take the Rutgers. I think they're going to be a surprising team. I think Rutgers could be Indiana, what Indiana was last year. Not saying that they're going to go bowl game, and
no,
saying that type of
exceeding expectations.
Covering games and stuff like that. Boy, did I just jinx myself in the head when I said, ooh, I like that, because now it's 14.5. It wouldn't shock me by Thursday when we're releasing plays. I'm going to be texting you. I can't believe Rutgers now 15, 16 points. That one little kicked me in the nuts because I really thought I was going to play that game when a number first popped up at 10.5.
I don't love Rutgers. I'm a big Schiano guy, but
Me too.
But I like them more in that underdog role when they're catching a couple touchdowns in Big Ten play than I do them laying points. I also don't like their quarterback. He's got a long Greek last name that I'm not even going to attempt to say. He's got a big arm, but he's super inaccurate. He's one of these guys that, like, every throw is a laser, like Kerry Collins used to be in the NFL. Like, the guy never had any touch. Every throw was 1,000 miles an hour. That's at Rutgers quarterbacks. I just don't know if they're going to be able to generate enough offense. Now, Ohio's bad. Lost their coach, Tim Alvin. He went to Wake Forest. Again, lost everybody in that program. Won their first MAC championship in like 60 years last year. Everybody's gone. It's just like that Sam Houston State. So kind of don't know what to get from them. But, Rutgers laying almost, 3 scores, or not almost, laying 3 scores. Don't know about that. So Isman Noland, welcome to the party there, buddy. New member. Thanks for taking some time. All right, this one, I know we got some Nebraska fans here at Doc Sports, specifically Tony George. I'm going to let you go first on this one because I have kind of a strong feeling on this game. This one will probably be on my card.
A little bit shocked at the number. I thought it was going to be like 4-ish. So 6.5 was a little bit high. There's a couple of teams that Big Ten that had a little bit more weird numbers out there. I'll throw in Wisconsin. This is a bad team, Wisconsin. Sorry, Badger fans. But I think this one was a little bit high. I'm waiting to see. Normally, I tell people college football numbers move kind of 3 to kind of 4 times. When they hang them up. So after Saturday's games, they're not going to re-hang them. But everyone who won after the Hawaii game usually bets the next weekend's card. So you'll get some line movement Saturday night on the upcoming. Then Tuesday, the week of college football, then Thursday, and then again Saturday. So those are kind of line movements you look for college football. I'm going to be very interested to see what happens next Tuesday with this game between Nebraska and Cincinnati.
Do you think that number could go up? Right, because Nebraska's got to be the public side here, right? Like they're, they've been a very public team these last few years. It's like every year they're talking about like college football ball or CFL, which is week legs. We'll get to that in a minute, Sanu. But it's like everybody wants Nebraska to be back these last few years, but they just aren't. They've been such a dud at the window. I got to tell you, I kind of like Cincinnati.
So do I. I'm hoping it goes to 7 or a little bit higher. I think it does just because people who bet Nebraska still think it's 1990.
Right, right,
So
right.
that I wouldn't shock me that we see a 7. Now that I say that, I'll probably go down to 6, and me and you would text like, "Oh, we jinxed it. It went down to 6." But I can see a 7 hung up. The only thing that scares me over the summer when it hung up numbers 6.5. Today's August 22nd. It's 6.5, so it hasn't really done anything. So I think that's why it wouldn't shock me if it just stays at 6.5.
Does it again? Is that kind of a red flag? Is your handicapper spidey sense kind of tingling a little bit that it is at 6.5? Like the books are trying to bait people into Nebraska. Like, oh, I get Nebraska, and I don't have to lay a full touchdown. Like this is good. This is below a key number. Like I'm looking at something that says 83% of the action in this game has come in on Nebraska, and the number hasn't moved. Does that just reading that number, does that strike you as odd?
Reading that number tells me not one whale, big, whatever you want to call it, money has come in. If they got if they got a $10,000 bet, then they got another $10,000 bet on the other side. So they haven't had multiple big unit plays that say, hey, you know what? Oh shit, maybe we do need to move this number to 7, 7.5, or we do need to drop this to 6. Yeah, you can read all money says percentage like that, but what kind of money is that? I mean, they ain't gonna move money on $20 bets, 20, 20, 20, 20, unless you're getting $1,020 bets in 30 minutes. Yes, then they'll move the number. But yeah, that just tells me they haven't got that significant amount of dollar bet that says, hey, you know what, we need to move this number.
Again, this game is being played at Arrowhead, so it's on a neutral site.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah, something else like I think Cincinnati is just undervalued in general this year. I like Scott Satterfield. Scott Satterfield can coach, man. That guy knows what he does, what he's doing. And last year, this Cincinnati team, they were 5-2 with a win over Arizona State, and their 2 losses at that point had only come by 4 combined points. Okay, they got caught up in the current of that Big 12, where there's no dominant teams, but there's also no bad teams. So they just lost a few games late, so it didn't look good. But I like their quarterback, Brandon Sorsby. And again, Nebraska, what have you seen out of them over the last few years to make you trust them laying points away from home? They've just played in and lost so many close games that I could see that exact same thing happening here. So I think there's a lot of value on the Bearcats.
Nebraska's like Texas A&M, Florida, every year. Oh, this is our year, and they just fizzle.
Okay, I'm going to let you take this one. So New Abe asks, college football or CFL, which has weaker lines? Raphael, I do not do CFL, so I am ill-equipped for this one. So I'm going to let you go here.
There's no such thing as a weak line. I mean, now there's soft numbers because the odds makers are not really looking at that right now. You can get good value on CFL because what is everyone betting? They're betting preseason in college football. So let's say someone, who's playing today in CFL? I can't remember. Hold on. CFL game today is Edmonton, Ottawa. So let's say Edmonton's -3 opened up at 1. Let's say everyone all of a sudden with that, and I say, hey, you know what? I love Edmonton today. And let's say a lot of people start betting Edmonton. But the odds makers are not looking at that because they're looking at the 4 preseason games and they're looking at the college football game. So they might not move the number right away if they were looking at, oh, you know what? I like the Dallas Cowboys today. So it doesn't mean it's a weak line or a soft line. That means the odds makers either forgot about it or there's low limits and they're moving in on a $500 bet compared to a college football bet when they're moving a number on a $5,000 bet. So I would say, yes, Detroit Lenny is correct on CFL, but sometimes weak lines gives you so much better value for your play.
So yeah, if I'm hearing you correctly, CFL is the books are a little slower to react because they're not paying as much attention to it, right? Because especially 3 weeks from now, when college football and NFL are just dominating things, the sports book, odds makers only have so much time, right? They only have so much mental capacity. They're going to focus it where the handles are bigger versus these smaller sports, right?
Yeah, and sometimes books will move it. Instead of moving it at half a point, if they took $1,000, they might move it a full point, so they didn't have to worry about it. Okay, if we get double popped, I'm too busy looking at these 4 preseason games. I'll just move it a full point, so I don't have to worry about it. So, like I said, if you like dog money, especially in CFL, this is the best time because they may move it like that. when it should be when the game should be 3, but they put it to 3.5.
Not for nothing, but that's why I have had so much success in November college basketball, because at that point in the year, all the focus is, still 75% of odds makers' attention is on football at that point. And then 20% is on NBA, NHL, soccer, all the other stuff. And then maybe 5% is on college basketball. They're like, you know what? We'll get to you in January and February. And that's why you find soft early season lines.
That's why I have success in second half of baseball. Because now what's everyone looking at? They're looking at the pigskin that just get kicked off. I have to hear Jason Dart stories on ESPN all day today. Preseason. Who cares you got your ball ranked? They're not talking about the great AL West battle between Seattle and Houston or the Brewers and whatever. They're not talking about that. So this is the best time to bet baseball as well.
August is always traditional. Actually, more September has always traditionally been a poor baseball month for me because the lines just get screwy. To your point, I feel like there's less nuance to what the odds makers do with the numbers. They just jack up the favorites, right? Because they got to win for this reason or the other. And I just feel like there's less value in September baseball. You feel like there's a little more value that time of year?
Certain games. I mean, you're not going to get value on Colorado Rocky games, White Sox games, Pittsburgh Pirate games, and stuff like that. But the key matchups or the division races and stuff like that, I think there is some good value on it because they're looking to get that two-way action on, let's say, on those key games.
All right, we're gonna call it there. I'm sure we have lots more we could talk about. I'm sure you have lots more questions. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and feel free next week to come to this show next week if you have games you want us to talk about for next week for college football and you want us to deep dive into some numbers, line movements, stuff like that, questions. Be ready for that. That's what we're here for. We're here to help. In the meantime, good luck, Raphael. Good luck to everybody out there betting, whatever you're betting this weekend. We'll see you next week. Carpe diem and good luck.